Okay, class managers, may I know who are absent?
Teacher, the boys are complete.
And for the boys?
Teacher, for the boys, it's they are complete.
Okay. And how about for the girls?
The girls are also complete.
Okay, so good thing we're complete today. We are just going to first of all, everyone, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon,
Lorenzo.
teacher.
Afternoon, teacher.
Okay, so for today, we're just going to continue our discussion, which is going to be lesson 3. Okay, right? Because last time we're already finished with lesson 2. Okay, and then we're actually going to have a few reviews. Just a second. Okay, and also before we start, may I ask again, those who can open their Visual Studio, kindly put an asterisk on your name in the so that I can look at the participants. Okay. So put an asterisk. So for example, asterisk Luneta David. Okay, like that. Okay, there's he already changed his. Okay, so for the others who can turn as well their Visual Studio, kindly open it or try it. Try to open while we're having a discussion. Okay, so while we're waiting, let's proceed already. Just a second. Okay, so for today, we are going to discuss about our lesson 3, which is VB message box and debugging. Okay, so later we'll further elaborate on that one. But for this lesson, we are going to identify the VB syntax of message boxes. Okay, enumerate the different styles of message box, analyze the given VB program codes and apply debugging, and of course, create a VB form designs with message box and proper debugging. Okay, so hopefully later, aside from David, uh, others can open their Visual Studio during the meeting and then share their screen. But still, if you cannot open your Visual Studio, you can open your Notepad. And from there, you can, as an alternative for Visual Studio, you can do a coding there yourselves. Okay, so but first, last time, right? So we discussed about our different if statements. Okay, so as what you may have known, with initially we discussed first 3 different if statements. Okay, so those if statements have different syntaxes. Okay, and as we go on to the progress of our discussion, there are other if statements that were added, and the other one is not an if statement, but still functions just as the same. Okay, so what are again our if statements? So give one first. Yes, Floresca.
Teacher, we have the if then statement.
Okay, so first we have the if then statement. Yes, Pampilo.
Teacher, if then else statement.
Okay, so the next one is the if then else. Okay, so the third one, yes, Jana.
Sure, we also have the if then else using both conditional and logical operators.
Okay, so we have the if then else using the using both conditional and relational operators or logical operators. And then the fourth one for the if statements. Yes, Jeremiah.
Teacher, it's the if then else if else.
Okay, so that is the if then else if else. Okay, and the last one, which is not an if statement but still functions the same. Yes, Jerome.
Teacher, we also have the select case statement.
Okay, so we have the select case statement. Okay, so all in all, we are using 5 statements, okay, in which 4 of those are if statements. And for the select case, it functions just as the same as the if then else if else. Okay. Okay. So among these different statements, okay. So what statement is most suitable if you are only expecting or you are only asking for one condition and then one output? Yes, and Margaret.
Teacher, the if-then statement.
Okay, so we are looking for the if-then statement. Okay, so that is the most suitable if statements if we're just looking at one condition to be true. Okay, and there will be there will only be one output. Okay, then what if we have two conditions? Okay, so among these statements, which is the most suitable? Yes, Yoel.
If then else statement.
Okay, so we have the if then else. Okay, okay, so that is okay, that's correct. Okay, and what if we are looking for two conditions at the same time to be true? Yes, David.
We'll be using the if then else using both relational and logical operators.
Okay, so if the problem is looking for two conditions to be true at the same time, so you are going to use the if then else using both relational and logical operators or operations. Okay, and what if there is only one condition, but we are expecting either one of the two outputs? Okay, so there are two possible outputs. So which among these is the most suitable? Yes, Jasmine.
Teacher, the if then else statement.
Okay, so it is the if then else statement, which is from the if then else. So the default value or the default VB expression will display once the first condition is false. Okay, so if the condition was is true, so there will be a value or a VB expression to be displayed. But if it is not true, so there is also a default output or VB expression to be displayed if the first one is false. Okay, and then if we have a problem which is which has multiple expressions, it has multiple conditions and it will display multiple expressions. So which among these are we going to select? Like for example, the first condition, we are looking at in the range of 0 to 50. And then the other condition is the range of 50 to 60. So which among these statements are we going to use? Yes, Estrella.
The select case statement.
Okay, so we are going to select the select case statement. Okay, so those are our if statements and the select case. Okay, so don't forget the select case, it's not included in the if statements, but it is functioning just as the same as the fourth one, which is the if then else if else. Okay, so last time we actually had an activity, right? So we get to program this certain output. Okay, so in the problem, it said there, create a program that will enter a number and then we will determine if it is 0, positive, or negative. Okay, so among the two other statements that we discussed last time, which one are we going to use? Right? We had two additional statements last time, aside from the first three. So which among the two are we going to use? Yes, Jasmine.
Teacher, the if then else if else.
Okay,
statement.
so that is what we're going to use. So may I see first who are able to share screen? Okay, it's just David. Okay, so for this one, I'll just be the one to display. Okay, so but for the others, okay, if it is possible to open your notepad, just follow through. Okay, so let me just stop share. Okay, so for this one, everyone is going to participate on which or what are we going to do next, okay? So it's not just me. Okay, so first thing here, so in order for us to put our controls, so what controls are we going to put? How many text boxes? Yes, David.
I will be putting 2 text boxes, 2 labels, and 2 buttons.
Okay, so we're going to put 2 text boxes. Two labels. And 2 buttons. Okay, and what would be the display? Okay, so enter a number. Result. Okay, so in our problem or in our program, it is going to ask if the number that was inserted is positive, negative, or 0. Okay, so we are going to use the if, then else if, else. Okay, so we're going to put it inside check. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to do is what? Yes, and Margaret?
Here we're going to declare a variable.
Okay, so we're going to declare our variable. And what is the data type?
Teacher, dim num in dim
Again.
dim number as an integer.
There, dim. Okay, so let's use my num as an integer. Okay, since we're going to accept numeric data types. And then, okay, so in this form, what control are we going to set it with? So my num is equals to what? Yes, Sabina.
Sure, equals to text box one dot text.
Okay, so it is text box one dot text. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is first condition in our problem. So it is going to ask or determine if the number that was inserted is either 0, positive, or negative. Okay, so which one do you want to have the condition first? So if my num, what you want? Okay, so first let's make it as, okay, Jerome.
Teacher, I want the first condition to be if my num is equal to 0,
Okay, so if my num is equal to 0, then
then text box 2 dot text is equal to 0 quoted.
okay, so quoted equal to 0. Okay, then what's next? Okay, yes, David.
If my num is less than 0, then text box 2 dot text is equal to quote unquote negative.
Okay, so but you're actually missing something there. So our if statement is if, then else if, else.
Yeah, I actually forgot the else. Else, if my num is less than 0, then text box 2 dot text is equal to negative.
Okay, there. So else if my num is less than 0, then text box to that text is equals to negative. And then for the last condition, so what are we going to put? Yes, Precious.
Here else text box 2 that text is equal to quoted positive.
Okay, so else. So since the very last one, or since this is the very last option or display to be displayed or output to be displayed, so we're just going to use else because we no longer need to have another condition. This is the last option. So it's going to be positive. Okay, and then and if. Okay, there. So again, so we declared our variable as an integer, and then we assigned it with the value of the text box 1. So whatever it is, the value inside text box 1 that will be converted into an integer and then assigned to variable ynum. Per statement, mynum is equals to 0. If it is 0, it will display 0. Else, if mynum is less than 0, then it is going to be negative, else it is positive, meaning it is neither of the two. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so we'll enter a number. So let's say, for example, we're going to enter 0. So let's check. There, the result is 0. And then about 5. Okay, so it is positive because since 5 is not equal 0, so it skipped this output. Then to the next, it is not less than 0, so skip this one. And then our last option, it is positive. Okay, and then so let's say this one is negative 16. So let's check. There, it is negative since it fell under the condition of mynum is less than 0. Okay, so if that is what you put inside, okay, so that is correct. So any questions on this certain problem? None? Okay, so let's proceed to the next one. Okay, so this is our example. So the first one, it is 0. Then if it is greater than, so we had the other way around. So if it is greater than 0, it is positive. Else, it's going to be negative. Okay, so everyone, a good job. Next one. Okay, so we have a problem here that it will display the average of 3 grades. Okay, so the average of 3 grades, and depending on the average, it will get the remark. So first, what is the statement that we're going to use? Yes, Anikas.
Sure, we will be using the select case statement.
Okay, so we're going to use the select case, okay, because we are dealing with the conditions like similar to this. Okay, so if we have conditions similar to this, so probably the most efficient statement is going to be the select case. Okay, and for this one, okay, so I'll be the one to program. So everyone just participate. Okay, so let's start over. So this is going to be three average and then remarks. For example, this is math. English. Then science. Okay, so in case you're not yet noticing it, so with this simple program here, you're already making a software. Okay, so this is already a working software. So in your case, if you can apply all the different controls and then all of the other methods that we are using in Visual Studio, you're going to realize, wow, I am actually creating a working software. Okay, so in case you didn't notice, okay, so but first in here, so our problem was it's going to get 3 grades. Okay, the 3 grades and an average. Okay, so what are we going to use? First, the first step. Yes, Floresca.
Teacher, we will declare the variable, so it is going to be dim ave as integer.
Okay, so first declare our variables. Then we're going to use dim ave as integer. Okay, next. Okay, so what is our next method? So in order to have the ave its value. So first thing that we're going to do is, of course, we're going to compute the average of the 3 grades. Okay, so what are we going to do? So instantly what we can do is we have ave is equals to, and then what? Okay, how are we going to compute the average? Yes, and Margaret.
Teacher Ave is equal to open parenthesis value of text box 1 dot text plus the value of text box 2 plus text dot text plus the value of text box 3 dot text, then close parenthesis, then all over 3.
Okay, there. So we are going to instantly compute the value of the average, which is what we're going to use is val. So val, and then text box 1 dot text plus the value of text box 2 dot text plus val, then text box 3 text. Okay, and then right after that, once it is finished getting the sum, you're going to get the average. So over 3 there. And then with this simple equation here, we can instantly get the average of the 3 grades. Okay, so okay, and then our case. Okay, so we are going to have the select case statement. So it is going to be first select ave, then its case. So first case is, okay, so it is going to be 95 to 100. Then it's going to display in text box 5 the text equals to excellent. And then another case, 90 to 94. Okay, so let's just copy this one. Okay, so let's check our work. Okay, so first, oh, I forgot. There's something that we're not yet assigning yet. So we have text box 1, text box 2, and text box 3 for our output. And then text box 5 as another output. Okay, so text box 1, text box 2, and 3 as input, and then text box 5 as an output. So there's actually another output that we're not yet displaying, which is going to display the average. So what are we missing here? Yes, Kate?
Ave is equal to text box 4 dot text.
Okay, there. And then actually we need to assign text box 4 as the value of the computation here. And then we'll assign Ave to text box 4. So either way, Ave is still going to have the value of the computation here. Okay, so let's check. Yes, David?
I'm noticing that the case for satisfactory pair 2 failed. You
Ah,
haven't
wait.
changed the 90 to 94.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. So what is the other? Is the other one? That is 85. Okay, there. I forgot. So let me just stop share first. Oh wait, stop the debug. So this needs to be 89. Then this is 80, 79. This is 70. Oh wait, this is 85. 4, 80, 29, 75. There. Okay, so let's check. Okay, so let's say your grade in mathematics is 91, English 92, science is 90. Yes, David.
Cannot see the window.
You can. Oh wait, sorry. Share. It's in the window there. Can you already see? Okay, there. Okay, so let's say mathematics is 91, English 92, science 90. So we're going to get our average first. So the average is going to be 91. What? Why is it in field? Okay, so let's try to change. Yes, Jerome.
Teacher, I just noticed something in the coding. Teacher,
Okay.
instead of the word to, I think you put there the hyphen symbol.
Yeah, the hyphen. Okay, so that is the missing one. Okay, so very good noticing. There. So it should be like that, not the hyphen. Okay, so let's check. Very good. So let's say again, this is 91, 92, 90. Check the average there. So it is working properly. So in case. Okay, and then, so that is how we are using the select case. So very good on the part noticing the two. Okay, so any questions here? None. Okay, so let's continue with the discussion. Okay, so this one was for the previous activity. Okay, so next we have here some examples of, okay, so what do you think these are? Yes, Zavina.
Sure, they are message boxes.
Okay, so these are examples of message boxes. And for each one of these, so we have different types of um, message boxes. Like, for instance, this one. So it is from Microsoft. And then it is asking for a yes or no answer. And then we have this other message box. So it is asking if it is or it is okay to do a certain action. So the only option is okay. Okay, so these are examples of multiple types of message boxes. Okay, and these message boxes, they have their own unique messages inside the box, of course. Okay, so good example like this one. So we are encountering this most frequently. If you're deleting something and transferring it to the recycle bin, so the recycle bin is going to ask, are you sure? Okay, so that is the message box asking you it for confirmation. Okay, so that is the purpose of message boxes. Okay, so but first, in the message boxes, we are going to encounter the user accessibility. So what does this mean? So first, user accessibility. A good program is not only about what it can do, but also its accessibility to its intended users. So accessibility means convenience or user friendliness. So user accessibility, it means that how is the program going to be performing in front of the user? So is the program going to be easy to understand? So is it foolproof? Okay, so that is what you are going to think first if you're going to create a program. the user accessibility. So are all the controls labeled? So do they know what is the first thing that you should do when you open the program? Okay, so that is what it means for the user accessibility. So programmers should take into consideration its intended users with regards to ease of using the program. Okay, so user accessibility is for the ease of user using the program. So it should programmers should focus on if the program is going to be easily understood once the user is going to operate it. Okay, so the easiest way to create a program is, of course, assume if the user is going to be stupid. Okay, so excuse the word there, but that is how it works. Okay, so if you're assuming that the user does not quite understand quickly your program, okay, so it's best to create your program as if the directions are there. Okay, so that the user can easily understand it. Okay, so but first, next we have our message box. So a message box is a predefined dialog box that can be used to display information for the users to ask the user for simple information. Okay, so message boxes, as to what example was for earlier, they are simple messages for the user to ask if they are going to perform something, for confirmation, okay, and also for alerts. For example, there are some errors like that, okay? So those are the functions of the message boxes to interact with the user. So it is a pop-up box used to confirm a certain event like saving or quitting a program. Okay, so just when you are similar to when you are going to use Microsoft Word, right? So you type a lot. So you type a lot of words inside Microsoft Word, of course. And then you decided to click on the close button. So what is the message there? So what is the message box going to display? Right? You type something, you didn't save, then you click on the close button. So what do you notice on the message box? Yes, Indria.
I think it would say if you would like to save the changes that you have done.
Okay, there. So it is going to ask you if you would like to save your document before quitting. Okay, so there are actually going to be different options there. So it's going to be either yes, no, or cancel. Okay, so that is the purpose of the message box. And sometimes it is informing you that you haven't saved yet. Okay, or for example, the power of your computer suddenly went out, and then you open again your Microsoft Word. So there is another message box that will display. So Microsoft Word saved your previous document like that. So it is interacting with the user. Okay. So for us to create a simple message box, so we are going to follow this syntax. Okay. So the prompt. So this is the exact syntax that we're going to follow. So message box, then close and open parentheses. So inside is first the prompt. So the prompt, that is what is going to be displayed inside the checkbox, the message box rather. Okay, so the prompt, that is the message that you're going to tell inside the message box. And then we have the message box style. So later we'll further elaborate that one. And then the title. So the title is this one. Okay, so if you're going to look closely to our example, so the example is message box. So that is the reserved word. Then the prompt. So the prompt, do you really want to quit the program? So this one is in here. Okay, so the next is the message box style. So the message box style is going to be like this one. So is it a yes or no type of message box? And then the confirmation, that is the title, which will appear on top. Okay, so everyone make sure you're taking notes of the syntax. Okay, so this is our example for the message box. Okay, so let's try to have a quick, simple message box. Okay, like for example, in here. So let's try to close this first. And let's put it inside check. Okay, so inside the button check, message box, what does it say here? Do you really want to quit the program? Okay, and then VB, yes, no. Okay, there. So as you can see here, when we're typing the type, so it is already pre-coded here, the VB yes, no, VB yes, no, cancel. Okay, so those are your choices. So in this case, we're just going to select yes, no. And then said here, plus VB question. Okay, and then the title of our message box. So let's say confirmation. Okay, there. And then we'll try to run it. Okay, so this is our code. Okay, so this is already a VB expression. Okay, so this can be substituted for the outputs. Like for example, the label 2.text is equals to you won the prize. Okay, so that was the VB expression. So we can put this as an alternative. Okay, if you want the message to be in a form of message box. So let's run this one. Okay, so we press check there. So we have the message box here, the confirmation on top, which is the title. Do you really want to quit the program? So that is the prompt. And then the yes or no option. So no, it is going to do that. Okay, so that is the example of our message box. So going back here. So that is our simple message box. Okay, so for this one, okay, so to finish this quickly, just take a screenshot of this one and then try it out yourselves. Okay, this is another form of activity. Okay, so this is 21 and 22. Okay, so take a screenshot of this one and then do it yourselves later on after the meeting. Okay, so for this one, it's going to be an exit button, and there, it's the same as to what we did earlier. So do you want to quit the program? Yes or no? So you will have to try it out for yourselves. Okay, so next we have the commonly used message box style. Okay, so this is the one that I am telling you about earlier. So first, we have our prompt here. So this is what the message is for. And then the title. Okay, and then the VB yes or no. So that is the style of the message box. And then we actually have multiple types of message boxes here. Okay, so the other example is the VB okay only. So it's going to display okay only. So the VB okay cancel. So it's either the okay or cancel. Abort, retry, and ignore. Those are the 3 different buttons. So in other words, these are going to be the additional buttons inside your message box. So in this case, this is okay only, okay, cancel. This one is abort, retry, and ignore. This one is yes, no, cancel. The one that we used earlier, yes or no. And then we have the retry and cancel. Okay, so let's try to use all of this. Okay, so let's get back to our Visual Studio. Okay, oh, sorry. So let's create multiple buttons. So we already have our yes or no as the first one. Okay, let's have okay only. And then okay, cancel. Abort, retry and ignore. Yes, no, cancel. And last one, we have the retry, cancel. Okay, so in here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different message box styles that we can apply. Okay, and all of them are applied with each one of these buttons. So let's try. Okay, so the first one there. So it is a yes or no. So no, this one, check. Do you really want to click the program? So that is the okay only. Next. So this one is the okay cancel. The okay and then the cancel. Third one. So this one is the abort, retry, and ignore. Then we have the yes, no, cancel. So this one is the most frequent one in the Microsoft Word. If you want to save changes, so yes, no, or cancel. And then the last one is the retry, cancel. Okay, so those are our different message box styles that we can apply to our message boxes. Okay, so next one, we have the, okay, so if earlier we have this, this question mark here. So this is also preset into our message box. So how are we going to change this one? So we have the other icons in here. So it's actually preset inside our Visual Studio. So first is the VB critical. So in the VB critical, that is most commonly used if there is an error. For example, you have an error on your program, so it is not working. So it will display the VB critical. Next, the VB question, that is for the confirmations if the program is going to ask you for a certain permission like that. So we're going to use the VB question. VB exclamation, that is for an alert. So for example, to give you an alert, like you haven't saved your current program like that. So you're going to use VB exclamation. And then the last one is the VB information. So the VB information, this is for message boxes to give you or to provide you with informations, of course. So we have 4 different icons. So critical, question, exclamation, and information. Okay, so let's try them quickly to our program here. So this is the first one in here. So this one is set to VB question. Okay, so this second one, let's try the VB critical. The third one, let's apply the VB information. Then the fourth one, let's apply the, what was the fourth one? Exclamation. VB exclamation. Okay, there. So let's run. Okay, so the first one, it says here, question. So once we run this, check. Okay, so this one is in the question icon. The second one, it says here, critical. So once I click check, there. So it is on critical, the critical icon. And then the third one, it is information. So the icon is going to be there. So it is an I icon. And then the fourth one, it is exclamation, meaning it is an alert. So check there. So it is on the yellow exclamation icon. Okay, so are there any questions on this part? None? Okay, so make sure you're taking notes of the codes, okay, so that you can apply them later. Then going back. So in here, we have another simple program. So for us to be quick, okay, so just take a screenshot of this one and then try it out yourselves. But I'll explain this first. So in the message box, there is actually a sum and sum. Okay, so you're combining the string with a variable inside the message box. So you can do that actually. So inside the message box, you can display your own message or your values inside your text boxes. So for this example, it is similar to the displaying the output in a label. Okay, but instead it is inside the message box. Okay, so everyone kindly take a screenshot of this one and then try it out yourselves. And then let's just proceed to the next one. Okay, so in here, I'll just explain what is the debugging. Okay, so debugging, it is the process of finding and resolving bugs within computer program, software, or system. Okay, so the debugging, that is happening right after you run your software. So debugging means it is going to look for errors inside your program or your code. Okay, so it is different from running your code and debugging your code. Okay, so running your code, it means that the program will execute your code. It will perform what is inside your code. But in the process of debugging, for debugging, it can perform the debugging without displaying the output of your code. So for the debugging, it is checking first if there are any errors inside your code. Okay, so example, this first situation. So we are looking at a sample code here. So first, we declared the dim my number as an integer. And then looking at our code, there is an error here. So first error is, what can you see? Yes, David?
My num is equal to textbox1.text. It should be my number. The same to
Okay.
the same on how it's declared.
Okay, so from what was declared, the variable was different. Okay, so once the debugging occurs, it will identify that the variable is not the same with the declared one. Okay, and the other error here is the and if. Yes, Anikas? Again?
Sure, I will.
Okay, so you're going to say that the other error was the and if. Okay, there. So, okay, so she's correct. So the first error was the my number. Okay, so the corrected one is right on the side, on the right side. Okay, so that is the process of debugging. So, but for the debugging, it is just identifying which are the errors in your code. So next one, we have here the next example. So in here, what can you notice for the code? The first error is, yes, Jana?
Sure, one of the errors there is the one in label 2. That text, there's no E.
Okay, so one error is this one, and what else? Yes, Dumas.
Sure, for the congratulations you win a lucky prize, it should be a quote, not an apostrophe.
Okay, so it is this one. Okay, so those are the errors. Okay, so what we're doing right now, that is the process of debugging. Okay, and then when we look at our corrected codes, okay, so those are the corrected codes. And then for the third one, what is the error here? Okay, yes, David.
The case 0 to 49, it should not be a hyphen, it should be the word to.
Okay, so there. So same as what happened earlier. Okay, so it should be the word to, not the hyphen. Okay, what else? Yes, Pampilo.
Teacher, the word mark after the select case. It should be
Okay.
small letter.
Okay, there. So it should be lowercase mark. So it should always be the same as the declared variable. Okay. So, and also we are missing, oh wait, sorry, the case select, the end select. Okay. So it should be not and if, it should be and select. Okay. So that's it for our lesson 3. Apologies for the excess time. Okay, so make sure for those for the exercises or the activities earlier, the one that you took screenshot, so make sure to perform them on your Visual Studio. Okay, so that's all for today, everyone. Are there any questions? None. Okay, so sorry for the excess time. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
See you and thank you,
See
teacher.
See you
you.
and
Thank you,
take it,
teacher.
teacher.